Are you a passionate business owner or entrepreneur ready to take your message to the world? Do you dream of launching your own podcast but don't know where to start? Introducing my 8-week Start Your Podcast program designed to guide you every step of the way in creating and launching your podcast. In this program, you'll learn the essential skills needed to craft engaging content, record high-quality episodes, and market your podcast effectively to reach your target audience. I will work closely with you, providing personalised guidance and feedback to ensure your podcast stands out in a crowded digital space. But hurry, spots are limited and applications for our upcoming cohorts are closing soon. Don't miss this opportunity to turn your podcast dreams into a reality and launch your podcast this summer. Visit our website donnaeade.com/apply and apply now to secure your spot in our next cohort. Together, let's make your podcasting vision a success. You're listening to the Mindset and Action Podcast, the place to be to grow and streamline your business. I'm your host, Donna Eade. Let's jump into the show. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. Now, I promised you that I was bringing you some more guests down the line, and I have one here with me today, Holly Scott, interior designer extraordinaire. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. So I met Holly through a networking event, and I thought, do you know what? I know for me that when my workspace is a mess, my productivity goes way down. And I thought, I know a lady who'll know a little bit about how we should be setting up our workspace for maximum productivity. So I invited her onto the show. But before we jump into all of that goodness, Holly, tell us a little bit about who you are, what it is that you do, and how you've come to be where you are today.
Okay, amazing. Thank you. So I am Holly from Holly Scott Interior Design. I'm based in South Oxfordshire. And well, where should we start? I've always been creative, and I started my, I suppose, creative journey back at school, studying art and textiles and business studies for A-levels. I then went off to university and studied mixed media textiles because I wanted to do something that was quite hands-on and creative. And that sounded quite fun, to be all honest. And then came out of university, went traveling, which was amazing. And then came back and thought, right, I need to get a proper job. What jobs are out there that are creative? And actually, it was my dad that said to me, what about window dressing? I said, what's window dressing? Because you don't know about all these jobs, do you? When you have been studying, you just don't. But when I was a little girl, we used to drive up to London at Christmas to look at the Christmas lights and the Christmas windows, and I loved it. So I thought, yes, that would be really fun. So that's where my journey started. I started with doing work experience at Selfridges in their window team, then helped in their interiors team. And then my first, I suppose, paid job, apart from freelancing with them, was at Harrods and Harvey Nichols. Actually, sorry, Harvey Nichols was first, doing the windows and the interiors. Then I moved on to Harrods, where I had a split role. So I was dressing the windows, but also that link between the creative department and the marketing department, because they sell all of their windows to different brands.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, which not everyone knows about. But I suppose to have a window in Knightsbridge in the front of Harrods is pretty good marketing. So I would liaise with the brand and the marketing team and creative, and I would design their windows, making sure we had all the elements that everybody needed in them.
Brilliant.
So that was, I suppose, when I properly started designing spaces. And then from there, I went and worked for Ralph Lauren in all of the London flagship stores. And every time a collection of clothing changes in each store, if you've been into them, each room or section is different. And we would change all of the props. We would change the flooring, the artwork, as I said, the props, the flowers, to suit the season and the collection of clothing coming in. So that was really creative and great fun. And also each different store had a different vibe. So Bond Street is all mahogany flooring, grand pianos, that kind of thing. Ducati motorbikes I had to source. And then the Brompton Cross store is more shabby chic. So I think I had to source an albino taxidermy peacock a chairlift, skidoos. I mean, really cool. So that was really fun. And again, really designing those spaces and styling the mannequins. So that was, one side of it as well. And then I got pregnant and we moved out of London when I was heavily pregnant with our first daughter, who's now 13. Scary.
Wow.
Um, and I just knew that I didn't want to go back into working in retail, mainly because in November you're working all through the night to hang Christmas garlands. I wanted to be a mum that was around.
Yeah.
And so actually working those hours wasn't going to work.
No.
But I grew up in a wedding venue, so I thought, okay, I could do some event styling. But when you've got a baby and you don't really know about marketing and anything else, I did my website, but I didn't really do an awful lot else. Then I joined Stella and Dot, which was a network marketing company, jewelry and accessories. That was my fashion fix. It fitted around being a mum, so I would go and style women in the evenings after I'd put the kids to bed.
Yeah.
And then they pulled their European business, and everyone who knew me said, you need to be creative again. You've been lost selling jewelry. I said, no, I was actually really good at it and I enjoyed it. And I built a team of other stylists and it was great fun. And it just worked at that time in my life, I suppose.
Mm.
And I thought, yes, I do need to be creative again because by this point, both the girls were in school. So I had more time. And that's when I started to do a bit more with kind of interior styling. But it wasn't until the beginning of lockdown where I kind of had the aha moment. So I was kind of doing a different jewelry business alongside, and it made sense for me doing fashion and interiors because if you know my story and my
Yeah.
path, I was doing both. But I felt like I should be focusing on one, and actually trying to sell jewelry when we weren't leaving the house and we didn't know what was going on just felt a bit odd. So I found the Interior Designers Hub, which is amazing, and it had the training on how to set up an interior design business. So I knew that I could design spaces. I wanted to help people in their homes because I think it's more personable and, has such an impact. But I wasn't really sure how
It's the
to,
business side
yeah,
of it,
the
isn't
business
it?
side.
Yeah.
So,
That's what I say about all creatives. So, as somebody who was in the wedding industry for a long time, the reason I started this podcast in the first place, it used to be called the Wedding Procast UK, and it was aimed at wedding vendors
oh,
to
that's
help them
cool.
do the business side of it, to give them more time to do the fun stuff that they
Yeah,
enjoyed.
because
So,
you need
I
to
get that
understand.
exactly.
I mean, I knew how to run a business from the jewelry, but for some reason, my mindset couldn't get around. I was like, well, how do I work out my packages and how do I do my pricing? And that's when I
Mm.
rebranded actually to be Holly Scott Interior Design and actually started putting myself out there because I'd been networking as an interior designer, but I wasn't really putting anything out into the world. And that's when it all then aligned. And actually, I realized that we were stuck in our homes, and so many people probably were thinking, I really don't like my
That
house.
colour,
I don't like that color. I'm
that
not feeling a lot
sofa.
of joy. And it was a depressing time as well. And I
Yeah.
think at that point in time, everybody had grey. And actually, grey is a really depressing color. So,
Mm.
so I started by really helping people through virtual interior design, consultations and virtual design. Uh, all my business came through networking because online networking was kind of the thing to do. And then it's just grown since then, which has been amazing. So I do one-to-one design work, but then I created an online course called Happy Home Design. I think it's 3 years ago, because I realized I wanted to help more people.
Yeah.
But when there's only one of you and you're designing, designing takes a long time. And also it's a premium service.
Mm.
So I have created this amazing, even if I say so myself, online course to teach creative homeowners my award-winning process, but in really easy steps so that
Mm.
they can follow it. They don't get overwhelmed because so many people are overwhelmed about choosing the wrong color, worried about making expensive mistakes, um, might know kind of what styles they like, might be happy pinning on Pinterest, but actually when you come to putting
Oh,
it in your
putting it
own
all together
home,
yourself is so hard.
it's
Like I
so
could pin
hard.
all day on Pinterest. I
Yeah.
know what I like, but trying to make it look cohesive. Like I watch Alexandra Gator on YouTube. She's an interior design person in Canada. And her whole YouTube channel is about going in and decorating different people. So people will apply and they get free makeovers because she gets the video out of it. And she goes and makes all of and she creates these little pin boards of like mood boards for them. And I'm like, wow. And then she brings it to life and I'm like, wow, why can't my house look like that? Because I have those ideas and then nothing translates.
It's translating it, isn't it? And actually, I've had people through the course who have studied interior design, but they are, they maybe have done an extension or a renovation and they're thinking, oh my gosh, I've spent all this money on this build. I need the wow factor at the end. And I don't know how to make these choices.
Yeah.
So for me, it was about that. And I now like to call myself the happy home designer. And somebody said to me recently, well, what do you mean by happy homes? And I said, because I could design a beautiful space. I said, but if it's not creating the right feeling that you want in that room, if it's not in the design styles that you like, there's so many things that it could be a beautiful room to some people, but if it doesn't give the right feeling, and it doesn't work for your lifestyle, then it's not going to be happy. And I want somebody to open the front door, have a breath of fresh air and go, oh, I'm home. I love where I live. So having the course, and I've got a new hybrid version as well, where you can access me on WhatsApp and have my design support alongside for those that want a little bit extra, because I just want to be able to help give confidence, I think, to more homeowners. Or people, you could rent. I've had this conversation this morning, actually. Don't have to own your house to make it feel and look how you want it, because there's loads of things you can do, even in rented.
Brilliant.
And that's where I am now.
Wonderful. Oh my goodness. That's a journey and a half. And I love it. And I love the fact that it's been a consistent theme for you, because for me, I'm a creative person, but my journey has been so and you've managed to kind of keep that creative thread throughout, whereas like I worked at Asda at one point, I've worked at McDonald's, I worked at a bank, none of these are creative, and it's my work's just it's an absolute nightmare, but I love that you've managed to keep that core of what you love doing in all of the jobs that you have mentioned today. So that's amazing. So working on, our homes and having a happy home, which I actually love that sort of idea of creating a happy home through your interior. A lot of us now are working from home. A lot of people listening to this podcast are solopreneurs working at home, and they've either got a tiny little office like I've got, or they've got a bigger office, or they've got a corner in the dining room that they're working from. And it's quite a big scope. Yeah, that's the word, scope,
like
to
a
sort
challenge.
of throw at you and sort of say, right, encompassing all of those different types of areas that we could be working in. Can you give us your sort of top 3 tips on how to set up our work environment so that we can be more productive and get more done?
Yes, absolutely. I love giving tips. So the first thing I would talk about is lighting. This is actually such a huge part of interior design. I have a whole lesson on it in my course because there's so much you can talk about. So if you're in a work environment or you're trying to do work, I would say if you can get a spot with as much natural light as possible, then that's really going to help, because natural light is amazing for everything. Obviously, that's not always doable, or you might have a small window. I mean, you could be working from a cupboard under the stairs. Actually, during COVID, I think I did tips on where you could create workspaces in the home, because we suddenly were all needing to do that. But that's another conversation. So lighting, having as much natural lighting as possible. If you haven't got a huge window or not a huge amount in your room, mirrors are a great thing to add, because they're going to bounce more light around the space. You want to make sure you've got enough task lighting so that your desk space is lit up. But also you want to add in basically enough layers of lighting. So ambient lighting, which is going to create the right feeling, and statement lighting to add your style in there and put a smile on your face. I've just got a new lamp here, which is really fun. So making sure you've got enough layers of lighting. And actually with your light bulbs, I would say don't go for a really cold kind of blue, white light, go for a warmer light because that's just a nicer feel. So making sure you have enough lighting. And actually, even if you're working from a corner in the dining room or a kitchen table, make sure you've got lamps or enough lighting in there. Or maybe you could position I always say don't put a desk, like an ugly office desk. Have a really nice statement piece of furniture. It doesn't have to be a desk. It could be a console table or a dressing table. If you can put it in a window and kind of separate the space off slightly, then that's a great thing to do. So that's the first tip, lighting.
Yeah.
The second tip, which is huge, again, all these tips are actually good for any room in your home, but especially in your home office, storage. You want enough.
Don't look at my
Hidden
shelves,
storage.
Holly.
I am looking at your shelves while I'm saying this. I mean, I've got shelves behind me too. So you want enough hidden storage that you can put all the clutter away, because when you've got clutter around you, I find I've got a little bit around me at the moment because I'm working on mood boards and fabric samples everywhere, but having the stuff you don't need out hidden away in a cupboard or some drawers or somewhere, even in kind of box files, put the paper in there so it doesn't look messy and you can have it on open shelving if you need it. Keep the clutter away. And I always say, again, don't buy an office furniture filing cabinet. Buy a beautiful piece of furniture that's going to look nice, whether it's a linen cupboard or a wardrobe that you can change so you've got shelves in it. Slightly think outside the box when you're thinking about your storage, but enough hidden storage is key. You can have open shelving as well. That's quite nice to display anything to do with your branding or you and your style. Have some personal stuff out there. Yeah, your awards. Yes, I've got awards of mine. Some plants. Plants are a really good thing to add. Real plants, if you can keep them alive, because they're really good for the oxygen levels. And bringing the outside in really helps as well. I know that's not really talking storage, but yeah, getting some extra stuff in there.
Yeah. Love it.
So really good storage.
Yeah.
And then the third thing is color. The color of your space is really, really important because, as I mentioned before, you want to create the right feeling in your space. So you want to choose colors that are going to help you with productivity and help you feel like that breath of fresh air. So thinking about nature, bringing the outside in is really good. Blues are really good because they stimulate energy. And it's like that breath of fresh air. Greens are great for kind of that balance and harmony. You could have like a little pop of yellow. That's like a sunny color. There's lots of colors you can do, but I would say keep to kind of either light and airy or mid-tones. Don't go too dark or dull with your colors because they're going to drain your energy and you don't want that. So definitely don't do grey because that
no
is
grey.
a
Grey
really
is out.
depressing color. Get rid of the greys. And actually like white, brilliant white isn't good because it feels very clinical and quite cold.
Yeah.
So you kind of need to be careful about selecting your colors. And again, even if you're in a bigger space in your house and you've just got a corner that you're working from, you can always I can't think of the word, but define that area.
Yeah, you can
with a
take things.
colour
I've
block.
seen
All
people
that
do that,
really
like taping off certain areas and just having the paint in that one
Yes,
area.
exactly.
So
So
that
colour
kind of makes
blocking.
it
Yeah.
that area. That's a really good
So
idea.
you could colour block that area as long as it works with the colour in the rest of the room.
Yeah.
That's fine. So I'd say those are my three key things.
Yeah.
Lighting, good lighting and enough of it, storage, and colour. And
Yeah.
again, you can bring colour in with, cushions, artwork, plants, your rug on the floor. There's lots of ways you can bring colour in. You don't necessarily have to paint the walls or add
Yeah.
a wallpaper. You can do it in different ways.
Yeah. Mine is not, it's not white. It's a slightly warmer white because I was aware that I didn't want it to be a stark white. So it is a warmer white. And I have some artwork on the walls that my sister bought me. They're shoes, actually, vintage shoes. And they're in a pink colour. So it actually brings out the pink in the wallpaper, in the paint, sorry. But that was just something quick that we did because we needed to do something, get the room done before we moved in. So we just I was just like, I don't know what to do with it. Just put a warm white on.
Well, that works. If you're comfortable in it. If you added kind of a blue or a green, you would probably feel the difference, I would say. So we moved into this new build oh my gosh, it's nearly 4 years ago. Where does time go? And we kept it white for a while, mainly because we didn't have I spent the budget on buying new furniture in the colours. And then we had it decorated, I think it's nearly 2 years ago now. But the difference, even I shocked myself. The difference that I felt from having the colour on the walls was actually huge,
Wow.
because it really makes you feel calmer in certain areas, more energized, depending on, the colours you choose. And even though I'd added colours with the furniture and the artwork and the curtains and all of that, then adding it to the walls as well,
Mm.
it can have a huge impact. So,
Yeah, color
yeah.
makes a huge difference. And one of the things that I like, so I've done a little bit of color work on
Psychology.
different things because of branding and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So for me, like I would never have red paint
Yeah.
on my walls in my
Especially not in a
house.
bedroom.
And definitely, yeah, definitely not in the bedroom.
Not
Whereas
in the bedroom.
that goes completely against the Christian grey bedroom design, doesn't it? But yeah, because it's a vibrant color and and a lot of people love it. Like I love red. I love a deep pillar box red.
That's nice.
But it can make you angry. And
Exactly.
I've known
It
people that have
signifies,
had
if
their
you think,
children's rooms painted red,
danger.
and yeah, their children's behavior has been off the charts. And when they changed the color of their children's bedroom, their children were so much calmer.
Yeah,
Like crazy
it
how
makes color makes a
huge
huge
difference.
difference.
Yeah, yeah. And I liked what you said about lighting as well and layering that lighting because I've got my big window here and I
Mhm.
would love to have my desk facing that window, but I don't like this view for the back of my videos. So until I've got that
You just need to
sorted,
sort out that wall then.
yeah, that wall that's just got a massive whiteboard on it with not a lot written on it. Yeah, I don't like it. So I don't, but I love this window light. And then I have a little lamp. I have got a little lamp. I don't know whether I can pick it
Good.
up and show you because I don't want to spill what's in it. But it's just a nice little
Oh,
lamp.
yeah.
It's one of my Scentsy warmers, guys. And it's just a white warmer. But it gives off this nice little glow, and obviously it's got wax in it, so it smells divine as well. So it's a beautiful addition. And then I will sometimes bring in my lamp if I'm working and it's getting dark in here, or if
So
I'm
if
on a video, I'll bring in to put light because
another
I'm
lamp.
in shadow on this side. So yeah, I do bring in my lamp.
So I'm with you on that. I also have a window in here, but our windows come quite low, and this doubles up as our spare room. So
Mm,
it's a sofa bed behind me. So practically, to be able to get the sofa bed out, and I've got a nice big desk, I have to have it here.
yeah,
Again, I would quite like to look out the window, but it's enough. So I've actually got one of those ring lights, which clips to the top of my laptop, which is
yeah,
new. So that's really good for video calls because obviously natural light is the most flattering.
it is.
And I've got a desk lamp here, but I've just added a taller table lamp. I'm trying to get my words out. And I've got the lamp over there, and we've got the ceiling light
Yeah,
because this is a north facing room. I think you've said yours is the
yeah,
same. And when you haven't got much sunlight coming in, which you don't get the direct anyway,
yeah.
it it needs the layers of
It can
light.
feel very dark even when it's
And
bright
and
outside.
in the winter, when it gets darker, early, you
Yeah,
need the layers of light. So I would say for you, Donna, I would add some more lamps in there.
yeah,
Even if you can
yeah,
get a floor lamp in somewhere as well,
yeah,
it will help.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I will get on that. And then storage was your other thing. And for me, I have I there's too much in this office, and that's because I share it with my other half. So for those of you out there that have to share your space with somebody else, I feel your pain because he doesn't work from home. He works from the office, and he rarely, like during lockdown, he sat at this desk, but this desk came with him when he moved in with me. But he just doesn't use it, and it just collects clutter. So even if my desk space is nice, he,
So get rid of
I'll show Holly. Look
um
at the state of that.
oh, okay, right. What you need to do is you need to get rid of the desk and actually remember you have vertical space in a room. So yes, you haven't
Mm,
got a huge amount of floor space. Put in an enclosed shelving unit, or like I said, a wardrobe, but with shelves
type
in it.
thing.
So you
Yeah.
can then put box files and you can stack everything in. So actually,
Mm,
but I feel your pain because this was the dumping room,
yeah.
as in there's fitted wardrobes in here. But when we moved into this house, everything that came from our old loft pretty much ended up in there.
Yeah.
So it wasn't very, and I even had a chest of drawers in there to try and use the vertical space, but it
Yeah.
was so bad. And my daughter recently said, Mummy, I'd like that chest of drawers. And I said, brilliant, because actually I don't want it in there. I'd like it
Yeah.
out. It's a beautiful old pine piece of furniture. So she
Yeah.
now has it. But I came back from taking my youngest to a dance competition to find the whole contents of the wardrobe all over my floor.
Oh my
Literally
goodness.
had a bit of a panic attack.
Yeah, I
This
bet.
was on the Saturday night. So on the Sunday, I'd measured the wardrobe because I don't need it for hanging space. I need it to keep all my fabric samples, all my folders, all the stationery, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we measured it out and I sent Dan and the kids to IKEA and they bought me tall drawer units and baskets and some open shelving with baskets so I can put all my samples in. And
Yeah.
now it's great. It's much better use of space because I'm
Yes.
using the vertical space.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
drawers are great as well because you can get them in and out and it's
We
easier to
actually did that in our bedroom. Matthew's got his chest of drawers are in his wardrobe
yeah.
because we've got two built-in wardrobes either side of the chimney breast, and there's not enough room for two sets of drawers in the bedroom. So mine is out down my side of the bed and his is in his cupboard because he doesn't have long dresses.
No.
So he uses like the rail and his clothes only come halfway down. So there's actually a lot of wasted space under there. So we
Yeah,
just pop the chest of drawers in there. So that works. But that's not workspace. So yeah,
that's
I
right.
think that's a really good idea. And I think in here that would work really well is to use that vertical space because you're right, there's a lot of space up top that doesn't get used. What would you say about proportions? Because obviously, you don't want to overwhelm your space. Is there any kind of sort of rule of thumb to know how big to go or not go when it
I
comes
think it
to having things
depends.
like that in your
It
room?
depends on the space and what piece of furniture you're referring to,
Mm,
and also where you place it within a room. So if you've got like a narrow room, then you probably don't want to put something that's going to eat into the depth of the room on the narrow side because it will
side,
make it
yeah.
narrower. Put it on the end so it feels more of a square.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it
That's
depends. But a lot
Yeah,
of
I
the
thought you were
time,
going to say
people,
that. I've got a stupid radiator at one end and the window at the other, and this is our long
oh my
side.
gosh,
So,
this is the exact conversation I had with a client the other day who's moving into a new build, and I was talking about it on a podcast with the girls in property, so like property investors, and I'm saying because somebody said, at what point do you get an interior designer in? And I said, right at the beginning,
yeah.
because we talk about layout and flow. And that is one of the things that is a massive issue that I find is exactly that. You have a window on one wall and you have a radiator on the other, and you want to use one of those walls for storage. So
Mm,
you could use the window wall and put a sideboard underneath it, but you're limited on your height. Whereas then you can't use the full height of the wall that has the radiator on it. So why don't they put the radiator under the window?
mm,
Um, so
yeah.
yeah, so and again, a lot of people, I would say, go with kind of proportion and scale, choose items for a room that are too small.
Mm,
So I would say even in a smaller room, have slightly bigger pieces. It depends on the look you're going for, but I
yeah.
often find that lamps are too small, rugs are too small, artwork is too small. Most people go too small, and that can actually just make a room feel more cluttered.
I love that. So if you're thinking about something and you're looking at it and going, yeah, that's the size that I want,
Go
look at
bigger.
the next size up and go bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
That's your
And
rule of
also,
thumb.
just so you know, Donna, for anyone listening, I have got a free download with more home office design tips in it. So
Oh,
I will
fabulous.
give you the link to share for that as well.
Yes. Yeah, that would be
Um,
awesome. Okay. So moving on to sort of the topics of this podcast where we're talking, like I said earlier, it was all about growing and streamlining your business so that we can actually do the stuff that we love doing, but we can actually get the business stuff done. So on the topic of productivity, what's your favorite productivity hack that you do when you know you've got a project, you need to get it done? How do you set yourself up for success and getting it done?
so that was a really good question because I find when I have a deadline, I suddenly am very productive. Whereas as a
Mm,
creative, I think sometimes my head is all over the place. But for me, with things like getting my social media posts done, I send out a weekly Happy Home Edit newsletter. I like to get it out for a Sunday morning so you can enjoy it over coffee. But those things take time,
mm.
time where I can't be sat designing for my clients. So one thing that's been really helpful for me is Chat GPT because I am not great with words. I am very detailed with what I put in and ask it for, and I get it to use my tone of voice. But if I'm wanting to create social media posts or kind of the format to my emails, I use that to help me. I definitely think that helps save time, which is
Yeah.
more productive. And the other thing that I am literally in the process of doing is employing a VA, which
Oh,
really
fabulous.
scares me because it's that letting go. But actually, I think you get to the point otherwise of burnout when you've
Mm,
got so much to do. But I would say my top one is probably Chat GPT and writing things down, like
yeah.
lists. I have to have lists on paper.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
hope that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Chat GPT is a great one for productivity, and I think so many people underutilize it, and which is why I have got an AI expert coming to talk to us at my in-person event in April, specifically on AI for productivity. So she's going to be coming in talking about all the different types of AI because it's not just Chat GPT
No, there's
and
lots
how
out there.
we can use it to help us with our productivity because I think we're all missing a trick. And it's moving on so quickly. It's changing all the time. So I think even by April, when the event is, that she will have new things to talk about.
Sounds
So it's going to be
amazing.
great.
Sounds so good.
And then so obviously when you're working with a client, you will have a planning process that you go through. You'll know, what you start with, the questions that you ask,
Yes.
then what you go through, etc. But in your business and the overarching business, how do you go about planning your business? Are you, January the 1st, setting goals and then breaking them down? Are you kind of more go with the flow? How do you do planning in your business?
I would say I am not somebody that plans probably particularly well. I kind of go with the flow. It depends what I've got, and I like to fit in networking and various things. But one thing I do is I have a monthly goals sheet, and and this is actually something that I got through the Interior Designers Hub, and they send it
Mhm.
out every month, and I always print it off, and it you basically write down what you've earned, what your profit's been, all your social media stats. So you're comparing them to the year, to the month before, which
Yeah,
otherwise I wouldn't do. So that's always quite interesting. What's worked and what hasn't the month before? Where could you do better? I don't always fill that out so much, but also the goals, like what are your main goals that you want to achieve? And I really think that helps keep me on track. I would
yeah,
recommend it to anybody because you then go to the end of the month and you think, oh my gosh, have I had a productive month? Like, what have I actually done? And then you look at what your goals were. You may have achieved them. You may not have done some of the things on that list because things change. If I'm designing and a client hasn't come back to me, then that design may not
yeah,
be finished. But then designing is quite a long process when I'm doing it one to one. Um, but then you often think, oh, but I've done this, 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 and this.
yeah,
So I think actually setting monthly goals, and yes, I do set yearly goals, but I find that a little bit harder. But setting setting monthly goals and then breaking them down per week. And on a Monday morning or a Sunday night, I will write on a weekly planner the things that I've got to fit in. So any appointments, anything for my girls, because I also juggle, the school run, the dance run, all of that.
mm,
Um, and then I'm like, right, which are the really important things I need to do this week? And I
yeah.
try and do those in between.
Yeah, we have something similar in the Female Entrepreneur Association, which I'm a member of. We have a CEO Power Hour, and Carrie Green actually sits down with us once a month on video and goes through it. And it's
Amazing.
very much the same, like what are your social media stats? How much have you earned? How was your month? How did it go? What could you do better? What do you want to do next month? All that kind of stuff is on it. So I think, yeah, your CEO Power Hour is definitely something that everybody should do once a month. It's great to keep track of those statistics as well, because at the end of the year, you can look back at the one, see how far you've come in a year, which
That's
can
what
be
I was going to
amazing.
say. Because we don't often otherwise stop We
No.
don't have time to stop and reflect. So that is a quick reflection. And then you're right. You can compare it to the years before and you're like, oh, wow, okay.
Look how
You
far
can
I've
actually give
come.
yourself a bit of praise for what you've done and realize how much you've achieved. So I think
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So what is one thing that you do in your business to attract new clients? Because audience building, if we haven't got people coming into our audience, we haven't got anybody that we can tell how fantastic our product is that we want to give them, or our services. So how do you attract new people into your business?
So I run free online workshops. My next one is actually on the 28th of April, and this one is how to master the art of adding colour into your home.
Oh,
So
amazing.
talking about colour. So I run my free workshops. I'm doing them less this year than I was last year because it's fitting them in. So I'm trying to do them once a quarter. And I also have free downloads for different tips, but it's the networking. So it's getting out and networking, online networking, in-person networking, and making new connections through the networking. Sorry, this is quite a long-winded question because I'm getting multiple in there. One, networking, but making sure you're actually utilizing your networking properly. So talking about your free thing, sharing your free thing, and then connecting with the people that you're meeting through LinkedIn or through, social media to build that connection.
Yeah.
But really, the most important thing is having something really valuable. And I know my workshops are great because the feedback is always really good. So, giving your expert advice to grow your email list and your customer database or whatever. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
That's how
absolutely.
people come in, I
Absolutely.
think.
I think workshops are a great idea, and having those sort of quarterly is a really good idea. So yeah, when you've got the link for that April one, let me have it and I'll put it into the show notes so that people can go down. So if you're listening before the 28th of April, then go and grab the link so that you can go and join her for that colour one, because we've spoken a lot about colour today. So it'd be a really good one for you to go to. So then we move on to mindset, and mindset is a really big one. And that's why my podcast is now called Mindset and Action, because if you don't get your mindset right, it doesn't matter what actions you take. If the mindset isn't in the right place, it's not going to work. That's my feeling. I feel like there's some people that can override that, but I feel in reality, they're probably not as stuck as they think they are with their mindset if they're making a success of it, because I think mindset is really pivotal. So what is the one mindset block that you've come across in your business that has really been a struggle for you to either overcome or to move past, and how have you managed that block?
I find that a really difficult question. But they're always difficult, aren't they? I think I often struggle with, I don't think imposter syndrome is the right word. Maybe self-belief or confidence. We all, I think, have that little niggle in our head saying, can I do this? Will people want this? So I think that's always been there, like almost the self-doubt, I think.
Yeah.
But then I go back and look at the testimonials I've had from people, and I'm like, absolutely, yes, I can do it. So I would say on the whole, I'm quite a positive person, but we all have wobbly days. Like yesterday, I felt really flat because I'd had a bad start to the day with my daughter. And sometimes then your mindset's not great. But I'm like, okay, people I was speaking to on a call actually said, are you okay? I said, I'm just a bit flat today. And they're like, just be kind to yourself. Take a breather. Some days we're not going to be as productive as others, but I think it's always just do it, because you don't know unless you try.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I
that's
think
great.
also getting support where you need it. So for me, I struggle to let go because I think I'm creative and I think, well, are they going to do it right? Are they going, and so the fact that I've just said, I'm going to get a VA really scares me, because also it's the work involved and the time involved in setting them up so they know the things to do. But do you know what? You've just got to give it a go.
Yeah.
And actually getting out of your comfort zone sometimes is hard. Sometimes you've just got to do it because that's how you're going to grow as a person and as a business, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I
there's a
love
few.
that. I love that. I love that. So it's self-doubt can be one that hits a lot of us, I think. We've always got that kind of, who am I? Even it's not even always our own self-doubt, but it's those noises. So if anybody listened to my episode with Dawn Ledette a few weeks ago, she was talking about the lobby in your head. It's all those people that have got all those things to say about you, and you've got to try and get through to the door at the back of the room that is your intuition that is going to guide you in the right way. Yet you've got to get past all of that noise, and it can be something your teacher said to you when you were little. It's something as little as that telling you you're not going to amount to anything, and it's a voice that stays there in your head, and it's a constant overcoming that. And I love the fact that you said that you sit down and read your testimonials, because I think a lot of us don't do that enough. I get them and I put them into a graphic or whatever to share on social media, and then I only look at them when I share them. But to actually take that time to sort of sit there and go, oh, actually look at what I've done for people, that's pretty cool.
I mean, I
Is a
don't
really good
often
idea.
sit and do that, to be
No,
fair.
no.
But sometimes it's just that little reminder, or
Yeah.
you get a text message from a client going, I had one client and she sent me a picture of her glass of champagne on her little kind of drinks area, and she said, I'm so happy. I love the space you've created for me. I just wanted to say thank you. So she was thinking of me and she
Yeah.
was loving her space. And I
Yeah.
was like, that's what it's about. And I
Yeah.
think actually you need to change your mindset of, should I be selling my thing? Should I be talking about it? Am I talking about it too much? I think that's the things that go through my head.
Yeah.
And with social media, stuff gets lost and it doesn't always get seen. But at the end of the day, think about how you are helping and impacting your ideal client.
Yeah.
What is the difference you're going to make to them? And that's what you have to focus your mindset on.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, well, that has been an amazing conversation. I love that. So we're going to go through my quick fire round, and then I'm going to let you talk a little bit about your little free guide to a happy home, and which is kind of going back to where we were at the beginning, talking about happy homes. So quick fire round. What is the podcast you enjoy listening to the most at the moment?
So I love that you asked this question. I am really bad, I'm going to fully admit it, at listening to podcasts.
Fair enough.
I need to make it, but I know how amazing they are and how valuable they are. So I need to actually kind of add it into my daily routine, whether it's when I'm driving
Find
or something to
yeah.
listen to more.
Yeah,
but one
absolutely.
of the ones I have enjoyed listening to is The Great Indoors, which is Sophie Robinson and Kate, I think her name's Watson. They're both interior designers as well. And I always love listening to chat around, interiors and stuff.
Yeah.
And actually there was another one that's really funny. And what is her name? I think I'll have to think about it. I'll have to remember it and send it over to you. But there are some funny ones out there. It's just having the time.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I love about podcasts is the fact that you can listen to them anywhere. So you're driving, take the kids to school, then you put one on the way home. You go for a walk, you listen to one. You drive to the shops by yourself. So there's all different spaces. Going to the gym, whatever. You can fit it in anywhere. And the great thing about it is when you press stop, you come back and it's where you left off. So there are some episodes that take me 3 or 4 trips to listen to because they're so long.
It's like listening to a story though, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Love that. Okay, so what is the book that has made the biggest impact on your life so far?
So I'm just going to admit these questions slightly concern me because I don't have an awful lot of time to read either. And I was thinking, what book? I have actually got a stack of books I need to read.
Ditto.
Do you have time to read?
No.
But this one, Get Rich, Lucky Bitch, is a brilliant book. And I actually probably ought to go through it and read it again. But talking about mindset and things like that, that's really good for it. So I did enjoy that one.
Yeah, brilliant book. And then what is your go-to snack when you're in a hurry?
So it depends what I'm in the mood for. But I would say I have quite a sweet tooth. So if I am in a hurry, it depends if I've been organized. If I have made my homemade protein balls and they're in the fridge, those, because they're quick and easy to grab. If not, it would be a good bar of chocolate. I know it's not going to fill you up. So that's why the protein balls are better, but something sweet, probably.
Love that. Love that. And then what is your ultimate me time thing to do when you actually, you haven't got time to do the reading, haven't got time to listen to the podcast, but do you make time to do something for yourself? What would that thing be?
It would be going to the spa.
Yes.
it would be going to the spa. That was an easy one to answer. It doesn't happen very often, but yeah, good spa day.
It's a lovely thing to do. Yeah, that is mine too. So I love that. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Holly. Thank you for answering my questions. Tell everybody a little bit about your free guide and where they can go and grab it.
Which free guide do you want?
So I've got unlock the 4 keys to your happy home with this free guide is what I've got in my notes.
I will also share the home office tips because that's what we've been talking about. So this guide basically is great to give you literally my 4 secret steps to creating a good interior. And it's making sure that you are creating a space which reflects your personality, your style, and your success. So these are the 4 kind of key stages I take within my award-winning interior design process, but also take my students on with the course. But they're just 4 really good nuggets for you to understand how to create your own happy home.
Brilliant. I will share that in the show notes for you guys. And where do you hang out on social media, Holly? Where can people connect with you?
Well, always on Instagram. So just at Holly Scott Interior Design. I'm also on Facebook with that and LinkedIn as well, if you want to hang out there.
Brilliant. Okay, I'll have all those links in the show notes for you guys. So do go and click that more button and find it. If you are reading on the blog, then you can scroll down to the bottom and all the links will be in the bottom as normal. So thank you so much for your time today, Holly. It has been a lovely conversation. Guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.
Don't forget to hit those stars and leave a review of the podcast where you listen if you found value in what you heard today. It's a free way you can help the podcast reach more people just like you.